Hi, I'm Tiera St. Clair, and I've been pet sitting for 20 years. I'm living the dream being Tiara. And I recently was on a pet sit in London and then was offered another in Madrid. And so I decided to take trains between the two and to stop off in Marseille, France. One of the best things about being a pet sitter is that I can do these little trips from one to the other and see the places that I like to see. So I left London, St. Pancras, that's the international train station, and I took a train to Lille, France, and then I got on another train to go to Marseille. The reason I chose Lille instead of Paris to do my change is that in Lille, walking from the international train station in Lille to the local train station is like a 2 block walk. Whereas in Paris, it can be quite a lot longer. And in Paris, if you're going, you arrive in Gare du Nord, so the North train station. If you're going east from there, Gare d'Est, that's a pretty quick, easy walk. But if you're going west or south, then it takes a lot longer. I can walk it, but this was February and I didn't want to walk it in case the weather was really bad. And you can also take a taxi, but I don't like taxis and buses because you never know about traffic. And then the metro does actually work really well. So I took a train to Lille and I got on another train and went to Marseille. And it was my first time in Marseille, other than in the train station where I've done um, changing to different trains. At first, I was not thrilled with Marseille. I've gone to a lot of little towns in France now, and I absolutely adore the French Riviera, Nice and Antibes and Cannes and all those places. I really like a lot. And Marseille, I couldn't quite get the je ne sais quoi, the feeling of it right away, but it grew on me. So the first thing I got it there in kind of the late afternoon, and I stayed at a hostel, and the hostel I stayed at is called The People. It was really quite nice. The first room they gave me I didn't like. It was very, very small, and I had this big old suitcase with me. So I asked for another one, and then they gave me another one that was much bigger, and I liked it. And so it was all clean and nice. They have a little like dining area with um, a kettle to make coffee or tea, and I think they had a microwave. I didn't use that. They didn't have a kitchen for cooking. The people were very nice. They had a bar where you could get breakfast and lunch and all that stuff. So the first day I went out in the afternoon, the late afternoon, and just walked down to the port. Marseille has historically been a port city, and so I just watched the sunset and milled about a little bit. Um, the other couple of things I did, I tried to do a day trip, and I went online to see what are some day trips I could do. And I found this little article that said going to Miramas on this train is really lovely. Well, the train was lovely, but the town I got off on was nothing. So if you want to do a little train trip where you just go on the train and you can see the sea, it was really nice. It's called the Côte Bleue, like the Blue Coast. Um, so it's worth doing, as I say, if you want to just hang out on the train a little bit and see the sights. But the town I went to, it didn't thrill me at all. I did not go to Cassis, which was the other direction, and I might do that next time because that town looked like it was prettier. I loved the old town. If you're facing the port, the old town is on the right. There's a big, massive cathedral that you can just go in and look around. And it's up a little bit on a hill, and there's loads of street art and little cafes and little shops with, little tourist trinkety things to buy. They're famous, I guess, for their soaps. And I went in and tasted a bunch of honey, but then ended up getting salt and a soap instead of the honey because I just couldn't make up my mind. There's also up above the town, you can take a walk up this hill to the Notre Dame up on top of the hill. And there's a museum up there, but I was too late to go in it. So the views are lovely if you like views, and the basilica was quite impressive, though it wasn't that big. And back down in the old town, there's a couple of museums that were really nice. I went to the History of Marseille, which was free, and the Fine Arts Museum was up a very wide, beautiful boulevard, and this gorgeous, gorgeous building. It was also free, and some really beautiful art. And there was I think it was a history museum, not a history, science, a science museum, I think was also in that same building, which I did not go in. And then down from the old town, there's a couple of museums which were paid, and really quite lovely. And then there's also a fort you can walk around. So there's plenty of things to do. I had 3 days in Marseille, and I think it was the right amount of time. I didn't miss anything. I wish I had done the different day trip, but that was okay. And even a couple of days, you could probably do everything, but I like being relaxed. So 3 days in Marseille. And then I got on a train, and from Marseille, I went right into Madrid, Atocha. And we'll talk more about that another time. This is me being Tiera.